Welcome to another in the series, Sip and Chat, a place where we talk about the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. It's our pleasure this afternoon to be coming into your homes and to be talking about the goodness of the Lord. Happy New Year! Welcome to another in the series, Sip and Chat. We made it through 2022 and 2023 that in the minds of so many people would have sounded so elusive is now right here with us the first Sunday and actually the first day of the new year. So welcome, and we give God thanks for all of our viewers, our sponsors who have been so faithful in ensuring that this medium continues to give hope and life and direction to so many people. So thank you once more and welcome. Want to introduce to you my special guest this afternoon, my friend from high school so many years ago, Novea Henry, and as there were actually three of us, myself, Karen Dunkley, and Novea, Key Club President, head girl. And
you were head girl.
Yeah, I was head girl, but that was just the little core of us, right? And some people think that friendships cannot be maintained, but I really give the Lord thanks for you. And it's really such a blessing to see how you have evolved into this powerful and strong woman of God, accomplished. You're a manager in one of the corporate companies in Jamaica, and you're also a pastor, teacher, and leader, and mother. And I'm sure that these are just some of the roles. And as in all of the roles, there is the superwoman, because I don't know how she does it, but she does.
Well, thank you, Dr. Tomlinson. It's always a pleasure. When I say Dr. Tomlinson, it just rolls off my tongue so easily. Yes, my friend from high school, always a leader. And she's speaking about me as a superwoman, but I'm learning from her because she has so many hats wearing, everything she mentioned and more. Happy New Year to you.
Thank you
And
so very
congratulations
much.
on this wonderful program, Sip and Chat, that you have been using to help so many viewers. And Happy New Year to your viewers. And I look forward to spending more time with you as we sip and chat this evening. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so very much, Novia. It's really a pleasure to have you. And one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on this afternoon, because I know you have a wealth of knowledge as we speak about it's a first Sunday, it's the first day of the new year. And one of the things that persons do usually when it's the first of anything is to look back, right? Is to basically reflect to see what was and what is. I want you to talk to us this afternoon about how important is reflection, and then we're going to take it a little bit more on how to actually reflect. All right?
Okay. Thank you so much for that question. It's funny that a few nights ago, I actually had a dream that had to do with a calendar that could not be found. And it's like a friend of mine had her ministry, and we couldn't find the calendar. We were told to go and find the calendar. And the truth is, we have our own calendars. Apart from the yearly planner that we have, that everybody has our calendar that we put on the wall, we have our personal calendars that we write and say this is what we want to be done by X time, but there's also God's calendar. And my question to the viewers here, what is on God's calendar versus our calendar?
Right.
And many times what we do, we tend to look back on what we did not achieve, but we oftentimes forget to look at what is it that God wanted us to achieve, because all things work together for good. We were called by the Lord according to his purpose, to his calendar. So indeed, it is an important thing for us to look back to see how we achieve what was based on God's plan versus our plan.
What the discussion has already gotten heated up in here. So part of what we do when we reflect, we have to understand, okay, I had 10 sets of goals. Were those were just my intentions, or those were the intentions and the plan that God has for? Because Jeremiah 29 verse 11, right? One of the scriptures that is always, just really talked about a lot is that the Lord spoke to Jeremiah when he felt overwhelmed and defeated. And he said to Jeremiah, I know the plans I have for you. And I'm sure that there are viewers, even on this first day of the year, who going down that same calendar, going on that little to-do list and saying, did not accomplish. Wow,
almost accomplished and so on. And of course, there may be something that are accomplished. But when they evaluate it in its entirety, they sometimes feel that, boy, it wasn't good enough, and they feel very disappointed that they weren't able to accomplish all. What we're saying to you here on Sip and Chat is that you have to understand that life is, when we reflect, we should see things more as stepping stones,
Right.
and not as milestones.
Right.
So you didn't accomplish this. This was the first step in getting even closer. Or you had an appetite, like you did an exam. I mean, I've had some exams that I failed in my lifetime. And of course, when you fail those exams, you feel a little way about it. But what that experience did was it made me more prepared for the next attempt. And so it's almost like I was going with an advantage the second time around.
So you learn from what you did wrong so that next time you do better.
Perfect.
Right.
So sometimes when persons have failures or disappointments or goals that were not accomplished, sometimes we just say, never again, I will not do this again, right? But there was a certification exam and I didn't do as well as I thought. And I made up in my mind that I wasn't going to do it again. And a lady called me and she said, one of the lawyers called me and she said to me, no, you should go ahead and do it because you now have an appetite. You have whet your appetite in terms of what this exam is about. So you're not going in at the bottom in terms of the approach, but
and I want with an advantage.
With an advantage. And I want to say to somebody, even as you're making, because everybody gonna start getting out their vision board.
Yes.
How important is the vision board though?
Well, I have this scripture that 2 Corinthians 13:5 says, examine yourself to see whether you are in the faith. Examine yourself to see if it is God's plan. All of us have these dreams. And all of us, we have desires. And all of us, we want to accomplish A, B, and C. But going back to what I said, is it on God's calendar? Sometimes this vision board end up with people being so depressed at the end of the year. Because yes, without the vision, the people perish. Write a vision, make it plain. But is the vision that you put on that board, is it really your vision or is it someone else's vision for you? That is it. The vision that you're putting together, is it realistic? Yes, we say we walk in faith. But is it foolishness sometimes? Because you may say
or is it trending?
Or is it that trendy thing that we do?
Right.
So the vision board is good because it can be in alignment with what your goals and aspirations are. But is it what God has planned for you during this time and this season? And I'll ask this question. For someone who is looking on, and you may say that you want to purchase a home by ABC time. Are you working the salary that can allow you to come up with the deposit?
Right.
Someone who's listening may say, well, I didn't have a deposit and God gave my house.
Right.
But the truth is, the person who did it, it was on God's calendar. No, it didn't happen. You're going to feel depressed. Oh, I'm tired of this and I'm so disappointed
and
every year.
And God don't love me.
And God don't love me. And they don't understand why good things can happen to me and everybody's have their testimony and I can't celebrate with them because it's like I'm tired of celebrating. We need to be in alignment with what is God's perfect will as against his permissive will, as against what our desires and needs and wants are for ourselves.
Perfect. I think as well, as we discussed this topic about moving forward and rising from the ashes, because for some people, it's really, they feel like they're at the bottom of the tree and they feel very low. But I want to say that sometimes you have to just shake off those ashes and rise again.
Like the phoenix.
Yeah, like the phoenix, you will soar. And you need to, as you go forward in the new year, make sure that you have on some blinkers as well, because sometimes you're going to attempt some things that you've attempted 3 times, but it's the fourth time is going to be your time of success. And you might have persons who come and say, you're really going to attempt this again? And you need to know that if this is something that is really embedded in your spirit as it relates to God's plans for your life, that even if it's 6 times, you're going to do it again. Because there's so many references to persons who weren't successful on the first try, the second try, the Michael Jordans, the Colonel of the KFC. When you read their autobiography, it wasn't just a one hit and they were a wonder. No, they had to go through their own processes. And on this, the first day, I say to our viewers, do not always try to align your success, your method of your reference to success based on somebody else's.
Right.
Because somebody will probably take 10 years to buy a house, but God will make you accomplish that same house in 1 year.
Exactly so.
Huh?
And
And
then-
even with less resources.
Right.
So you cannot always think that, boy, because I was a Christian before that person, or I was doing and it means that God is not being faithful to me. You understand?
And I think that is unfair.
Right.
Right. And it will lead to jealousy.
And that is why you have to keep you have to keep that space clear and clean. Because if you begin to compare, you might become envious and bitter.
Like the Saul spirit will come upon you.
Right,
When
right.
Saul heard the people saying Saul killed 1,000, David killed
The
10,000.
right.
And then they start to compare. But the fact of the matter is, depend on the army that you have been sent to deal with, as well as depend on the mission that you have to accomplish. And there are some, it's funny that you said not measuring our success based on what other people achieve, because that is so profound, Doctor. It is so profound, Dr. Tomlinson. Because even in churches, you realize that there are pastors who will look at the congregation of one church and then judge it and then say people are inviting people. But what is it you are called for? Some people are called for 10,000. Some people are called for 1,000. Some people are called for apostles. Some people are called to be just pastors. And we need to, in this time and this season, we're talking about everything is global, where you can reach people all over. Why look at how many followers that someone have? Who is it that God wanted to speak to in this time and this season? That is what is important. I'm going all over. I'm so
But
sorry.
you're doing well. You're doing well. But you know what? As you talk about that, I think it's so important just to remain focused. Because I remember when everybody was bursting into this, going into this space, and they want to be on YouTube. And
Right.
people are putting on some things, and you say, what is this about? Everybody having like a conference at a conference there. And people are saying, Leleith, why are you not in a space? Why you don't have this and why you won't have that? I thought that complimenting what my bishop was doing was great. People don't believe that they can be successful just by complimenting somebody else's ministry.
Because they figure that they need to have their own name.
It's so mind-boggling sometimes. You understand what I'm saying? And just like you said with even David and Saul, everybody has their own season, but sometimes once we get a glimpse of what is possible out there, we want to go there and we want to explore. Nobody wants to serve and stuff like that. And because they're still serving in the season, they feel that, boy, they haven't grown. But some of the best lessons are learned in serving.
Exactly, like Elisha and Elijah.
Exactly.
Elisha stood and he served and he followed Elijah wherever he went. And even when the sons of the prophets are saying, your masters are going, he never decided to discuss his master in a negative way. He basically told them that they should just be silent because he knew what he was doing. And it's a wonderful story when you realize at the end of the day, when Elisha was asked by Elijah, what do you want of me, when he knew he was going to be taken up? He said a double portion. Sitting at your pastor's feet is a way for you to have your double portion.
Exactly.
Martha and Mary. Martha was in the kitchen getting busy. Mary sat at Jesus' feet. And we need to choose and know and understand that when we are planning, when we are reflecting, we should look at who is it that we learned from the most. What did we do? Is it that we went on our own mission? Yes, we want to say we are achieving these goals, but I love that sitting at your pastor's feet and supporting him was your way of doing your own ministry, which has burst out and I'm sure and bloom into one of their ministry that is now Sip and Chat.
Right. And I also said that because even by just serving, doors were also opened in a way. So when sometimes we look at success doesn't always come with you just bursting out there by yourself. Sometimes success is about serving. So even today, as we reflect, persons can look and say, boy, how have I served? You know, I had a very amazing encounter, and it was something I wish I had a camera to capture some of these moments. I happened to be in a pharmacy, and there was a very elderly gentleman, probably could have been like my grandpa, sweet gentleman. And he just went into the sweet pan and he took up a whole handful of sweets. So he was saying to the lady that was with him, aren't you taking up any sweets? Like he said, to care for them people. And she was like, you always do that? And the lady at the pharmacy, I couldn't help myself. You know me already. I said to the lady at the pharmacy, because I saw her like, she was saying, She said, this little old man, every time he gets in the pharmacy, he takes up a handful of chocolate sweet or taffies, right? And the gentleman said he just brings them to work to brighten somebody else's day. And I was there saying to myself, that as we look on reflection, that probably in the eyes of someone, this is just a little old man. But I was saying to the little gentleman that, sir, I don't know you, but I want to say, God bless you. Because by just going to work every morning, he probably is a gardener or a watchman or something, but by going every morning with about 20 sweets to give somebody, I mean, even when he's long gone, his legacy,
he's going to remember.
his legacy. And so part of our reflection on our accomplishments should be what is going to be our legacy.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And I think sometimes if we pause more to see what are we good at, maybe he might not be the person to come and say to the CEO, to balance the book, you need to look at the net worth and the GDP and so on and so on. He might not have that skill. But every time when he sees that person, when he would just come and leave that little sweet there, he does something going to having a rough day, I'm sure, and he just pull out, that little sweet is going to be there. And I say to persons today that as you go forward into the year, don't try to be anybody. Try to be the best. Unveil the best of yourself that God has made you to be. And begin to appreciate you. And some things that you might not see them as major, but they are major and you have accomplished. Because sometimes when we start to reflect on things, if they're not magnanimous, we don't believe that we have accomplished anything. But you probably have. There was a small project you wanted to do and you did it. And you must embrace yourself and feel good about what is it that you have accomplished.
Amen to that. And, just as you're talking, it's reminding me of two friends I have. One of them is Marcia. She lives in Portmore. And Marcia will look at people on the road. And if they have any cut or sore or whatever, she will go and clean it. And she will take food to them. And she will always carry medication to them. And my friend Dan will call me just this morning and she said, there are about 6 old people that they are very lonely. She wants to have a dinner. And she wants me to, see how I could be a part of it. I said, yes, I'm going to be a part of it. For people who have vision boards, sometimes, we lose our mission because we think about ourselves.
Right.
What is it? We need to look back at the end of 2023 and say, in January, I helped A. In February, I helped B. This was a ministry that I contributed to. This was a home that I helped to build. This was a child that I helped to send to school. Because God is no man's debtor and is more blessed to give than to receive. But we have been caught up in ourselves and society has led us to a point where we're now focusing on us and what did I achieve for myself or my family instead of what did I do.
That's very interesting, Novea. And I want to say to our viewers that as you make those vision boards, some people say, what is a vision board? It's basically casting your aspirations onto a plain sheet, right? People have different styles. They
Sometimes
can decorate
it's like a wish.
Yeah, it's like a wish list for the following year. But this is very important because I don't think many people approach it this way. So I'm suggesting you could divide it into different quadrants, and you could have personal, professional, and then you could have what we would
for
call,
every quarter there must be something that you're giving back.
Right. So that's the part I want.
So it doesn't have to be every month, but even every quarter
or so.
So we can go to our children's home.
Right. And so that is like your little, I can't find the right word right now, but it's like your charity or your
benevolent whatever activity.
Right, that you would do. And I'm telling you that the world would be a better place if all of us, as we think about what it is that we want personally and professionally, we also look at how we can make somebody's life better. And very good that you said that.
One more thing. It just came my spirit. Someone who's watching. Don't look on the internet. Don't just look outside of your community or at your church only. But it was her charity begins at home.
Right, okay. Right.
There are some people who they need to.
Right. And you know what too? In many families, there are some people that their mother and father may see them as a castaway. So if you're a part of that family, even though it might be a child that is challenging, So we're talking about reflection and investing into the new year, right? You can say to yourself, okay, I know that nobody usually believes in you. I think that none will go. But this year, you are my project.
Exactly so.
Yeah.
And it can be a silent thing. You don't have to tell
You
the
don't have to tell
person.
anybody because we're not doing this for self-aggrandizement, of course. But we're just saying, what are the different ways that when you reflect at the end of the month, the end of the quarter, how can you feel fulfilled? I want to reemphasize this quote. It says, as we go forward, remember that yesterday is history. That's what it is, right? We can't change it. It is already gone. And tomorrow is a mystery, right? Because trust me, we know tomorrow because God is inside of us and He doesn't reveal everything about the future to us as yet. But the important thing is that today is a present, some persons say. And that's why, is a gift rather, and that's why it's called a present. So the question is that now that you have this gift of today, you have this gift of today, what will you do with your today? And I really want to emphasize that many people's dreams are tied up like Lazarus, right? You're in that grave and you think that maybe if you had gotten that breakthrough 5 or 10 years ago, you would have been okay. But I come today and join with Pastor Henry to say to you and declare it's about time for you to come forth. And we're not just saying comfort in those grave clothes that, well, I wonder if I can do this. No, we're loosing you. We're saying it's your season for your thing from your God. You have been delayed, but you have not been denied. So when you're coming forth, I don't want you to come forth in your stagger. I want you to step forth in faith and in boldness. That, Lord, I put my trust in you. And your word tells me that there's no good thing that you will withhold from them that diligently seek you and walk uprightly before you. Ladies and gentlemen, when I hear people talk about how many things that they gave birth to in 2020, the year of COVID, how many things were birthed, programs, ideas, job opportunities. Let me tell you something. You can give birth in the midst of darkness, in the midst of barrenness. You can get an idea. Right? God is not defined by space or by time or nothing. He is God all by himself.
Just as in Egypt, it was during the plague that when everyone else was dying, the people were doing well in the land of Goshen.
There's always a Goshen. There's always a Goshen. So if you're a mom and your vision is to go back to school, don't look at the age. I'm so glad that so many things are virtual now. You can stay right in your living room and be attending a class in Birmingham.
And no one will not know how old you are.
Right. That's not important, right? And you can just do what it is that you want to do. Information is accessible. You can Google your thing and so on. So I know a lady who became a lawyer while helping her son who was doing his CXC. She had her full-time job. When she was a child, she wanted to be a lawyer, but life went another way. And then by the time she was there helping her son through CXC, she recognized that she still had the appetite to study.
The ability.
Yeah, and she just made the sacrifice, went back to law school, finished her program, and this was a dream that she thought that, boy, this is just a dream that was gone.
But it was just not on the calendar
at that time.
And now the Lord put it back.
Right. So we want to say to people, dream again. Dream again. It's time to dream again. And no excuses. I don't know, some of us, some people are like the man at the pool of Bethesda, sitting down there for
waiting for someone to put you in.
Right. We are breaking for tradition. You don't have to wait for the water to be troubled. Jesus himself is saying through us today, rise up, shake off your clothes, and embrace the dreams and the vision. Because like my friend said, though the vision tarry, like Habakkuk said, it will surely come to pass. And God is not a man that he should lie. Novea, your few words as we wrap up this afternoon. Quite an interesting program. It's time to dream again. Look back on yesterday and press forward. Accelerate into 2023. Closing words.
Well, for those of you who your January to December, you never achieve certain things, and you may call them dry bones. Your dreams are not dead. I'm saying breathe into those bones that you thought were dead. Ask, can these dry bones live again? I say yes. Buying that house? Yes. Having your own ministry? Yes. Getting healed? Yes. Having that child, yes. Getting married, yes. Like me, I want to be
I can't
married.
wait to be
And
that
I say
that
yes.
bridesmaid.
These dry bones, Charlie, do not look back at
Right.
2022. We're moving forward
That's right.
because we are alive and we are living our dreams.
Thank
That's
you
what I have to
so very
say.
much. I'm so excited. And as the year progresses, we will be right here with you, helping you to plot your trajectory with the guidance of the Lord and reminding you that we don't learn by just doing, but we learn by having done something, reflect on how well we did. If at first in 2022, 2021 you didn't succeed, it is a new season. It is a new year. Let us press forward because we know that all things are possible. With Christ in our vessels, we continue to be able to smile at the storm. Until next time, continue to sip and chat. It
Chat.
was indeed our pleasure.